and nonprofit maven. She's been caring for her mom since 2003 when she was 16 years old. She's the founder and director of the nonprofit Love Labor Project. Please welcome Rachel Austin Bernstein. Hello, Rachel.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
I'm doing good. I'm very grateful for the reason to get dressed and put on makeup today and a real shirt. I won't tell you what I'm wearing on my bottom half because that goes against the Zoom code. But yeah, I'm excited.
Oh, well, we appreciate you taking time. Caregiving is a big deal, and a lot more people are doing that nowadays, like myself. But with what's going on in the world, we know that's even changed things a little bit more from there. And I understand you have some things you'd like to share with us.
I sure do. I sure do. So I've prepared a little talk for today that I'm calling Love and Care in the Time of COVID. So I guess I'll just get started then.
Perfect.
So I want to say here at the beginning how honored and humbled I am to have a chance to connect with you all today. And I want to give a shout out to Rock What You Got for giving us this opportunity to get together this weekend, and also to the folks at Springboard for the Arts who are truly working tirelessly to distribute funds to artists at a rapid pace in the midst of this crisis. Laura Zabel and her incredible team are local and national heroes at this point, all of the time, but especially right now. So big shout out to everybody. Please donate if you're able. It helps a lot of folks in our community with our thriving art scene here. You know, gotta help our artists, please. So in my time with you all today, I want to talk to you about the idea of radical acceptance, how caregivers are well prepared for crisis, and how we can truly show up for ourselves and our loved ones in this time of COVID. So I'll tell you a little bit about myself and why I'm even talking to you about this today. My name's Rachel Austin, and I'm a caregiver. I'm also the founder of Love Labor Project, which is an organization that supports young adults who are 20 to 40 years old who have a parent with a serious chronic and/or terminal illness. My mom was diagnosed with stage 3 ovarian cancer in 2003 when I was 16 years old. And today I am 32 and a half years old. So quick math, I've been a caregiver for half my life. I am not the only one. More and more millennials are taking care of their parents while they're trying to manage their own lives. Things like finishing school, full-time jobs, starting a family, really building a life for themselves. I could bore you with all of these statistics, but we didn't come here for math today. So the stark contrast of what I dreamt that my life would be and what it looks like today is exacerbated by my youth. It's a different kind of sacrifice and emotional cartwheeling for us who are in our 20s and 30s than our generational counterparts in their 50s, 60s, and 70s who are caregiving. I don't believe in making too many comparisons here because my purpose is not to create distance between any of us. But I found that we have a lot more in common than we think we do, that the experience of caregiving elicits similar emotional responses in all people. My experience, my perspective, and hours spent in therapy have given me a fundamental understanding of what it means to be a caregiver, no matter your age. Right now, we are living in incredibly uncertain times. Feelings like fear of the unknown, loss of control, loss of self, isolation, boredom, anxiety, and anticipatory grief are all feelings that caregivers know well. In many ways, I think that I am actually better prepared for this historical moment than many of my peers are. First off, being a caregiver is my superpower. So right now, I feel kind of oddly invigorated by the fact that I get to be a caregiver for my whole community. I know that that is maybe a little weird, and my therapist is probably watching this right now, rolling her eyes and taking copious notes, but it's true. Secondly, this place that we're in right now doesn't actually feel all that unfamiliar to me. Being trapped within the confines of my home, caring more about the health and welfare of someone else than myself, sacrificing time with friends, losing my momentum in work and in life, and being terrified about the future, both immediate and long term. It's all too familiar. But the things that I find incredibly comforting in the midst of all this chaos, the things that I come back to time and time again are my caregiver skills. And you can make that with a Z if you're so inclined, caregiver skills. As this has been playing out, I've been thinking so much about what I've learned over the years, and I think I've distilled it down to some bullet points, which is helpful since I am giving a speech. The big overarching theme for me here is radical acceptance. That's the notion that accepting your circumstances allows you to free up your emotional energy and your spirit for other things. Some psychologists say that suffering is a choice. I find that to be extremely jarring and honestly rude. It stings like the slap of someone, giving it to you straight, right? And I think that perhaps there is suffering that is potentially avoidable, but suffering is not always a choice. My mom getting cancer is not a choice. Giving up on dreaming about my own future, however, that might be a choice. But enough of the idea of suffering, because the world is doing way too much of that right now. We are in acute pain as a global community. And I came here today to share some real tangible caregiver skills that will absolutely help you get through this challenging time. So here we go. Radical acceptance. We have to start with radical acceptance because it makes room for us to do the things that we need to do to take care of ourselves. There's two layers of radical acceptance that I want to address today. One is about accepting things that you can't change. It's about accepting that this is the moment that you're in. These are the circumstances. This is the situation. And this is the way that it's going to be for a while. For some of us, we just became caregivers. And others of us are seasoned veterans, right? Counting our time spent caring for our loved ones in decades instead of weeks or months. The other kind of radical acceptance I want to talk about is of yourself, of your capacity, of your time, and of your emotional well-being. So let's start with number one. I told you I had bullet points. I feel very lucky to have had some years to practice this kind of radical acceptance. What does practicing this look like? For me, it's looked like countless moments of hearing that cancer's back. It's sitting with the shock of bad news and even worse treatment options. It looks like being forced to press pause on my own life for a while. It looks like clenching all of my emotional muscles when my loved one needs to grieve their own losses and their own circumstance, and then saving all of mine up and breaking down later. It looks like endless days spent in waiting rooms, both doctor and surgical, in hospital rooms and in hotel rooms. My mom is one of thousands of patients who receive their medical care out of state. That means that I often find myself isolated in a city I don't know, going from hospital room to hotel room and back, with a few field trips to Target or a nail salon sprinkled in when I finally claim some time for self-care. But spoiler alert, Target is not that fun away from home because then you realize you have to pack everything that you bought, and it doesn't always fit in your suitcase. So at some point, after more than a decade of this, I realized that I had to grieve everything that I had lost, that it was okay to own my own feelings and even be upset about all of it. I wept, I got mad, I drove for hours, I wept some more. That's how I learned to stop struggling against the impossible, by moving through the grief and becoming settled in it. I will tell you that I am not always good at this. Some days are really tough. That's why I say that we are practicing, right? The next thing, number two, is that radical acceptance of self. So let's start with the fact that all of us are human. You are human. And I know that you are doing the best that you can. We have limitations. It is just a fact. There are 24 hours in a day. You need sleep. You need restful moments. You need things that bring you joy. You need food. You need to laugh, right? Last year, I started a small organization that cares for young adult caregivers, and I also had the opportunity to create my own solo performance piece about my experience in caring for my mom. I had always been unstoppable. I'm driven, energetic, enthusiastic, juggernaut of a human being who could somehow get a lot done in one day. But then everything came to a grinding halt. All of the trauma Every bit of myself that I had given away over the years came crashing down around me. And I felt weak. I felt damaged. I felt disappointed in myself. I felt like I didn't know who the person was staring back at me in the mirror. I didn't know how I had sacrificed so much of myself in everything that I'd been through. And I'm still going through it. This journey isn't over for my family yet. But one day, it hit me. I am just fine getting things done on my own schedule. I am allowed to own and claim my time and my space. It doesn't make me weak that I can't cope with 1 million impossible things at one time. Didn't make me weak that my armor got punctured after years in battle. I'm not weak at all. I am human. And real talk, I'm also someone who has been chronically hard on my loved ones. I truly thought that everyone should handle things exactly the same way that I did. And I was hard. All that armor is really heavy, you guys, and it makes hugging people really challenging. So I softened. I softened my expectations of myself, and I softened my expectations of others. I accepted my limitations and that I could only do what I could do each day. I started to become more vulnerable with others. I started to make it okay to tell the real truth to myself and about myself. There's only so much that's possible in these days of COVID. It's the same with caregiving. If you can't seem to get as much done at home as you do at the office, if you can't make every FaceTime or Zoom call, every workout, every walk, every house project, it's okay. It's okay if you need time alone. It's okay to turn the world off. It's okay to just accept that you only have so much to give each day. Claim the fact that you're hurting, that this is hard, that you're scared, that you're grieving the world that we all knew, that you're grieving the loss of safety that used to feel promised to all of us. Allow yourself to be free of judgment around productivity. You've got this, and you are doing the very best that you can. Now, number 3, and this is one of my favorite tips. It works. Have something to look forward to every single day. And bonus, have something to look forward to that's a few days away. You have to have something to look forward to, right? It's really important, which means a reimagining of what exciting is. That's why radical acceptance comes first, because once you accept that this is where you are, you can start to get excited about things like sunshine, walks to the park, having peanut M&Ms waiting for you for dessert tonight, an opportunity for takeout, the anticipation of a package coming in the mail from Amazon or Target or Sephora, the anticipation of the new seasons of Real Housewives that are coming out in the next couple weeks, the anticipation of a scheduled FaceTime call with someone you really adore, the weather report shifting from rain to sunshine. It all adds up and it brightens your days and your weeks. Life can be simple. For example, when we're in the hospital post-operation with my mom, she looks forward to her sheets getting changed every day. She looks forward to her favorite flavor of Jell-O. And I think someday she really looks forward to the time when I will leave her alone and go back to the hotel. And I know for a fact that she looks forward to eating at Olive Garden after she finally gets sprung from that hospital room. Every time. Ooh, I think I get to go to Olive Garden. Few days till I go to Olive Garden. They're all little victories, and they honestly can taste just as sweet as the big ones, but it's all about your mindset. Number 4, gratitude as an action verb. At the beginning of last year, I decided that I was going to practice gratitude as an action verb. That's what I called it. That meant that every time anybody did anything for me, big, small, whatever, I was sure to say thank you. I included some kind of thank you message in every Facebook and Instagram post. I said it whenever I heard a good idea from someone, and I tried to not let a single moment go by without finding someone to thank or something to be thankful for. And it might sound like it was overkill or possibly aggressive gratitude, which maybe it was, but what it did was illuminate every individual and specific thing that people did for me and for others. And that wild experiment somehow distilled this concept of gratitude so that radical acceptance of self could actually thrive and flourish. By noticing the little and big things that others did, the more I noticed the little and big things I was doing, the more impressed I became with myself, my capacity, and my resilience. So the fifth thing is visualizations. Might sound silly, but I swear by it. I spend time when I wake up and time when I go to bed visualizing what I want and or need. Sometimes when I have a cold, for example, I'll visualize myself 2 weeks down the road from now on the other side of my illness. I'll imagine like not needing to reach for a Kleenex anymore. It's more difficult and yet more important when I'm in my role as a caregiver and things are really hard. Sometimes the despair is really overwhelming, but I try to visualize when life will be normal again. The next time I'm out with my girlfriends, being back in my own home, sometimes even just picturing my typical daily routine of gym, work, dinner, home feels like a luxurious and faraway daydream, but I picture it anyway. And right now, in this time of COVID, I'm visualizing how amazing it's going to feel to hug my loved ones again. And I'm visualizing looking at maps of the pollution relief that we're going to see after all of this is over. Number 6, tending to your central nervous system. Y'all, I used to think that this was so silly and ridiculous. And then I learned that I had been very wrong to laugh at it. Doctor after doctor after doctor told me to meditate. I would roll my eyes. Doctor after doctor commented on how hard it must be for me to have a sick mom. I thought, oh, it's really not that bad. We've actually got it pretty easy. I'm just going to tell them it's not that big of a deal, downplay it. Maybe I shouldn't say, whatever. I always wind up just smiling and nodding. And then someone told me about my nervous system, that I have to work to engage my parasympathetic nervous system so I can calm down my fight or flight response. One day, a wonderful girlfriend of mine took me to a restorative yoga class, and everything connected for me. If I don't give my high alert, high anxiety, high functioning system a time to rest, I will continue to be sick, and I will not be able to help anyone. And that's extremely important for all of us right now, because we could all potentially be carriers or be sick ourselves, and we need to stay as healthy as possible. During difficult times, as I'm able to, and even during calm times, I go to restorative yoga class. I do cycles of breathing where I breathe in for 3 and out for 7, over and over and over. I do breathing exercises for long enough that they shift my physiology until I can actually feel a difference inside of my body. It all helps me to cope that much better during hard times. But you have to take the time to do it. I promise you get a huge return on that investment. It's a rather small time commitment. Give it a try, please. It's amazing. So I've given a lot of advice here. I've shared a lot of my own personal process and experience. But really quick, I want to acknowledge that this would all be a lot more difficult for me to do without a therapist that I trust and medication that works for me. If you're struggling with your mental health, you have to clear the fog before any of these things are possible. And I've been there. I struggle consistently with my own mental health, and I see you. I see you, my friends. I believe in the power of intervention, and I believe in the power of you. So radical acceptance of circumstance, radical acceptance of self, finding small things to look forward to, gratitude as an action verb, visualizations, and tending to your central nervous system through breathing exercise and restorative practices. I accept the fact that I don't get to leave this house right now. I accept the fact that my mom is sick. I accept the fact that her needs come before mine. I accept the fact that I will be interrupted 1,000 times as I try to do things for work or for myself. I accept the fact that sometimes it's really, really hard. I accept the fact that I can't answer everyone's text messages or email or take any cute pictures to post. I accept the fact that for weeks on end, I might not wear any makeup or even shave my legs. I accept the fact that I don't have control. I accept the fact that I don't know when things will get better or what it will look like when they do. I accept the fact that my life no longer feels like mine. And I accept that all of those things I've just said make me a caregiver. And I accept that all of those things are true for us all right now in the time of COVID. It's all too familiar, but I have practice, and I'm going to continue practicing every day moving forward because it's all that we can do right now. And I promise you that you are doing great and you've got this. So like I said at the beginning, these coping mechanisms, they used to just be for caregivers, but now we all really need them. And I hope and pray that when the dust settles, we don't forget all these new skills that we're practicing. And maybe in the future, we'll all do a better job of showing up for each other and showing up for ourselves. So before I finish, I feel like I'm going to tell you quickly what Love Labor Project is up to in the midst of all of this, supporting caregivers who are tremendously worried about their vulnerable parents right now. We're kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place. So Love Labor Project is made up of a group of incredible, diverse young adult caregivers. If you are looking for support right now and you're a caregiver, or perhaps you're a patient and you think, oh my God, my kids would love this, tell them. You can find us online at lovelaborproject.org. You can find us on Instagram and Facebook at Love Labor Project. We're currently running weekly virtual support gatherings. We're publishing helpful content on social media, and we'll be broadcasting, speaking with some experts too here in the coming weeks. So stay tuned. You know, we're here for you all. And if you need us, you know where to find us. So thank you so much. That's the end of my little prepared talk for today. And now I think I get to talk to Carla some more.
Oh, thank you, Rachel, for such great information. We actually did use up pretty much that whole 25 minutes.
Oh, great.
Which is great because you gave us such a wealth of information. And I just have to say, from one caregiver to another, thank you for what you're doing. I caregive for 2 terminally ill parents. I understand the difference is I wasn't 16. I've been doing this for 7 years and I'm going to be 53 in September. So a lot older than you when you started. You were a teenager. You were 16. So I get it. And thinking of you, thank you for what you're doing for all of us. There's so many of us out there. I appreciate you and all of your information.
Thank you so much, Carla. That's so nice. And I wish you luck and peace and radical acceptance in your own journey. It's not easy.
No, it is not. Thank you so much. Next, we're going to throw it to Carolyn.